Nutrition in animals. Digestion process. Learning about digestion process in human, animals, mode of intake of food and its utilization in the body. The food pipe, esophagus. The swallowed food passes into the food pipe or esophagus. The food pipe runs along the neck and the chest. Food is pushed down by movement of the wall of the food pipe. Actually, this movement takes place throughout the alimentary canal and pushes the food downwards. At times, the food is not accepted by our stomach and is vomited out. The stomach. The stomach is a thick-walled bag. Its shape is like a flattened U and it is the widest part of the alimentary canal. It receives food from the food pipe at one end and opens into the small intestine at the other. The inner lining of the stomach secretes mucus, hydrochloric acid, and digestive juices. The mucus protects the lining of the stomach. The acid kills many bacteria that enter along with the food and makes the medium in the stomach acidic. The digestive juices break down the proteins into simpler substances. The small intestine. The small intestine is highly coiled and is about 7.5 meters long. It receives secretions from the liver and the pancreas. Besides, its wall also secretes juices. The liver is a reddish-brown gland situated in the upper part of the abdomen on the right side. It is the largest gland in the body. It secretes bile juice that is stored in a sac called the gallbladder. The bile plays an important role in the digestion of fats. The pancreas is a large cream-colored gland located just below the stomach. The pancreatic juice acts on carbohydrates and proteins and changes them into simpler forms. The partly digested food now reaches the lower part of the small intestine where the intestinal juice completes the digestion of all components of the food. The carbohydrates get broken into simple sugars such as glucose, fats into fatty acids and glycerol, and proteins into amino acids. Absorption in small intestine. The digested food can now pass into the blood vessels in the wall of the intestine. This process is called absorption. The inner walls of the small intestine have thousands of finger-like outgrowths. These are called villi, singular villus. Can you guess what the role of villi could be in the intestine? The villi increases the surface area for absorption of the digested food. Each villus has a network of thin and small blood vessels close to its surface. The surface of the villi absorbs the digested food materials. The absorbed substances are transported via the blood vessels to different organs of the body where they are used to build complex substances such as the proteins required by the body. This is called assimilation. In the cells, glucose breaks down with the help of oxygen into carbon dioxide and water, and energy is released. The food that remains undigested and unabsorbed then enters into the large intestine. Large intestine. The large intestine is wider and shorter than small intestine. It is about 1.5 meter in length. Its function is to absorb water and some salts from the undigested food material. The remaining waste passes into the rectum and remains there as a semi-solid feces. The fecal matter is removed through the anus from time to time. This is called egestion, inflammation, diarrhea. Sometime you may have experienced the need to pass watery stool frequently. This condition is known as diarrhea. It may be caused by an infection, food poisoning, or indigestion. It is very common in India, particularly among children. Under severe conditions, it can be fatal. This is because of the excessive loss of water and salts from the body. Diarrhea should not be neglected. Even before a doctor is consulted, the patient should be given plenty of boiled and cooled water with a pinch of salt and sugar dissolved in it. This is called oral rehydration solution, ORS. Digestion in grass-eating animals. Have you observed cows, buffaloes, and other grass-eating animals chewing continuously even when they are not eating grass? Actually, they quickly swallow the grass and store it in a separate part of the stomach called rumen. Here, the food gets partially digested and is called cud. But later the cud returns to the mouth in small lumps and the animal chews it. This process is called rumination, and these animals are called ruminants. The grass is rich in cellulose, a type of carbohydrate. Many animals, including humans, cannot digest cellulose. Ruminants have a large sac-like structure between the small intestine and large intestine. The cellulose of the food is digested here by the action of certain bacteria which are not present in humans. There are many small organisms which do not have a mouth and digestive system. Then how do they acquire the digested food? We will learn another interesting way of food intake. Feeding and digestion in amoeba. Amoeba is a microscopic single-celled organism found in pond water. Amoeba has a cell membrane, a rounded, dense nucleus, and many small bubble-like vacuoles in its cytoplasm. Amoeba constantly changes its shape and position. It pushes out one or more finger-like projections called pseudopodia or false feet for movement and capture of food. Amoeba feeds on some microscopic organisms. When it senses food, it pushes out pseudopodia around the food particle and engulfs it. The food becomes trapped in a food vacuole. Digested juices are secreted into the food vacuole. They act on the food and break it down into simpler substances. Gradually, the digestive food is absorbed. The absorbed substances are used for growth, maintenance, and multiplication. The undigested residue of the food is expelled outside by the vacuole. The basic process of digestion of food and release of energy is the same in all animals. Summary. The bile secreted from the liver, the pancreatic juice from the pancreas, and the digestive juice from the intestinal wall complete the digestion of all components of food in the small intestine. The digested food is absorbed in the blood vessels in small intestine. Water and some salts are absorbed from the undigested food in the large intestine. The undigested and unabsorbed residues are expelled out of the body as feces through the anus. The grazing animals like cows, buffaloes, and deer are known as ruminants. They quickly ingest, swallow their leafy food, and store it in the rumen. Later, the food returns to the mouth and the animal chews it peacefully. Amoeba ingests its food with the help of its false feet or pseudopodia. The food is digested in the food vacuole. That is all in this chapter, students. Good going!